The judge glared at the elderly witness with irritation. "Just stop talking. Your words have no value." The old man calmly stood up. "Your Honor, I fought for this country in 3 wars. My words have value." The courtroom fell completely silent. Welcome to the Human Stories. Before we begin this powerful story of justice, honor, and unforgettable courage, please tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories like this need to be told, hit that subscribe button and help us make sure these stories are never forgotten. The Federal District Court in Manhattan was hearing an important case. The defendant was a young businessman being tried for tax evasion charges. The courtroom was packed with heavy media interest. Frank Rodriguez, 75 years old, sat in the witness section. His gray hair was neatly combed, wearing a clean but old suit. Leaning on his cane, he sat quite upright for his age. No one would give him a second glance. The reason Frank had been called as a witness in this case was that he had been in partnership with the defendant's father 20 years ago. He had witnessed the financial transactions from that time. Judge Patricia Wilson, 45 years old, was experienced but impatient. She had particularly little tolerance for lengthy cases and elderly witnesses. She viewed them as a waste of time. Defense attorney Michael Stone was famous for his expensive suits and confident demeanor. He was skilled at pressuring elderly witnesses. Prosecutor Sarah Chen was young but determined. She did everything she could to ensure justice. The hearing began at 10 a.m. "Frank Rodriguez, please take the witness stand," said the judge. Frank stood up, slowly walking toward the witness stand with the help of his cane. His movements were quite determined for his age. When he sat in the witness stand, the judge began asking questions. "Please state your full name." "Frank Rodriguez." "Your age?" 75. "Your occupation?" "Retired." "Did you have a partnership with the defendant's father, Robert Johnson, 20 years ago?" "Yes." "How were financial transactions conducted in this partnership?" Frank began to explain, but due to his age, he spoke somewhat slowly, pausing occasionally. The judge became impatient. "Could you speak faster?" "Our time is limited." "Frank, I apologize, Your Honor. I'm trying to explain as quickly as possible." Frank continued explaining. "At that time, Mr. Johnson's ... The judge interrupted. "Stay on topic. Skip details that don't concern us." "Your Honor, I need to provide context so that—" "Unnecessary explanation. Just answer the questions I ask." The defense attorney also interjected. "Your Honor, the witness is not speaking coherently. Perhaps due to his age, he doesn't remember clearly." Frank calmly said, "Counselor, I remember very well." "Then why are you explaining things so confusedly?" "Because the situation was complex. I'm trying to simplify it." The judge angrily banged her gavel. "Enough! Don't drag this out. Give yes or no answers." Frank, "Your Honor, justice isn't that simple. I need to provide explanation." "Just stop talking. Your words have no value." At that moment, a profound silence fell over the courtroom. Frank calmly stood up. He took his cane in his hand and stood straight. Despite being 75 years old, his posture was very resolute. "Your Honor," he said in a determined voice, "I fought for this country in 3 wars. My words have value." The courtroom fell completely silent. Everyone looked at Frank. The judge was stunned. "What?" "Korean War, 1950. Vietnam War, 1968. Gulf War, 1991. I served in 3 wars." The room was completely silent. No one was breathing. "I put my life on the line for this nation's flag. I fought for justice. Now I'm here for justice." The judge didn't know what to say. Frank continued, "Your Honor, when I was your age, I was freezing in the mountains of Korea. I was losing my friends in the jungles of Vietnam. I was marching through desert storms in the Gulf. Everyone in the room was listening to Frank intently. And each time when I returned home, I remembered what I had fought for: justice. Prosecutor Sarah Chen had been moved by Frank's words. She immediately searched for Frank Rodriguez on her computer. What appeared on the screen shocked her. Frank Rodriguez, U.S. Army, 1948 to 1995, 47 years of service. Korean Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Southwest Asia Service Medal. Purple Heart 3 times, Bronze Star 2 times, Silver Star. Rank, Master Sergeant. The prosecutor placed the file on the judge's desk. Your Honor, the witness's military records. The judge opened the file. Her eyes widened. 47 years of military service. 3 war veteran. Received the Purple Heart 3 times. Received the Bronze Star twice. The judge looked up and gazed at Frank. She no longer saw an ordinary old man. Standing before her was a hero who had served his country for 47 years. The judge stood up. Mr. Rodriguez. Frank. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, ma'am. The judge corrected herself. Master Sergeant Rodriguez. I apologize for the disrespect I showed you. The room began applauding. Everyone had stood up. Frank bowed his head. No need to apologize, Your Honor. You're doing your job too. No, it's necessary. I disrespected a war hero. I'm not a hero, ma'am. I just did my duty. The judge showed the file. 3 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 Silver Star. Isn't this being a hero? Frank smiled. These are just pieces of metal. My real medal is having served my country. The judge wanted to continue the hearing. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, could you continue your testimony? Of course, Your Honor. This time no one interrupted Frank. He was allowed to speak for hours. Every detail was important now. The defense attorney had also changed his attitude. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, your testimony is very valuable. Frank. Thank you, Counselor. During his testimony, he explained the events from 20 years ago one by one. He detailed where documents were located, where money came from, explaining everything thoroughly. Prosecutor Sarah. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, how do you remember all these details? Military training, Counselor. They teach you not to forget details. It can be a matter of life and death. Frank's testimony completely changed the course of the case. The information he provided definitively proved the defendant's guilt. When the hearing ended, everyone in the courtroom showed respect to Frank. The judge made her final remarks. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, this court is grateful for your service. Frank. It was an honor to serve, Your Honor. It's because of people like you that we have justice in this country. Justice is everyone's duty, Your Honor. At the end of the hearing, the defendant was found guilty and sentenced. Frank's testimony had been decisive. As he left the courtroom, Prosecutor Sarah approached Frank. Master Sergeant, may I speak with you? Of course, Counselor. Justice was served in this case. Thanks to you. Frank smiled. I just told the truth. But telling the truth takes courage, especially at 75. Age is just a number, Counselor. It's never too late for justice. Judge Patricia Wilson also approached. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, I learned something from you today. What's that, Your Honor? That respect is earned not by age, but by service. Frank nodded. You're right. But respect isn't earned only by service. It's earned by humanity. As Frank left the courthouse, security guards saluted him. The janitor thanked him. Everyone had learned he was a hero. A young reporter at the entrance approached. Master Sergeant Rodriguez, would you give an interview? Frank thought, about what? About what happened in court today. Today justice was simply served. Nothing else happened. But you're a war hero. Frank stopped. Son, I'm not a hero. The real heroes stayed on the battlefield. I just had the chance to come home. What advice would you give to the younger generation? Frank smiled. Never give up on justice. Never. No matter how old you are, stand up for what you believe is right. Any other advice? Don't look down on the elderly. What they've experienced is full of lessons you need to learn. As Frank walked home, he thought, today he had just given testimony. But perhaps he had completed one of the most important missions of his life, protecting justice. The next day, newspapers headlined, 75-year-old war veteran ensures justice in court. But Frank didn't read the newspapers, because he already knew. Justice was not a one-time battle, but a war that needed to be fought every day. A week later, another court called him for testimony. Frank didn't hesitate. Of course I'll come. Because even at 75, he would continue fighting for justice. This story teaches us, age is not an excuse to give up on justice. On the contrary, experience strengthens justice. Have you ever met someone like this? Someone who, despite their age, never gave up on justice, who stood up for truth? Share their stories in the comments. Because at The Human Stories, we believe that justice is possible at any age. If this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe. The stories of people like Frank Rodriguez should be told everywhere, because justice lives on because of them.